Hey everyone, welcome back to another explainer. Today, we're unpacking a massive treasury funding request for Cardano's Layer-2. If you want to understand the future of scaling on this network, you are in the exact right place.
So, let's just get right into it. A staggering 5.1 million ADA withdrawal has been proposed, and it is sparking some fierce debate over the future of scaling the network. This isn't just another routine funding request. It's a pivotal moment that's asking the community to decide exactly how and at what cost the ecosystem should handle high-performance applications.
To truly grasp what's at stake here, we're going to break this down into 6 quick parts: the 5.1 million ADA proposal, Cardano's Layer-1 bottleneck, Enter Hydra, the L2 solution, the V2 development plan, the community debate, and finally, the final vote. All right, let's jump in.
Starting us off with Part 1, the 5.1 million ADA proposal. The core governance action submitted by Input-Output back on June 8th is asking the Treasury for exactly 5,100,781 ADA. And to be clear, this isn't to build something completely from scratch. No, it's actually to bring Hydra, which, as you know, is Cardano's native Layer-2 solution, up to what they call production hardening, basically taking it from a proven concept to a rock-solid, enterprise-ready infrastructure.
Which brings us to Part 2, Cardano's Layer-1 bottleneck.
Look, to really understand this funding request, we've got to take an honest look at the base layer. We all know Cardano boasts top-tier security, right? But that security comes with a pretty heavy trade-off. High-performance apps, they literally cannot function with 2-hour finality and 17-cent fees. I mean, especially when competitors are out there offering finality in under 2 seconds and fees that are practically microscopic, fractions of a cent, while processing thousands of transactions a second. For high-volume stuff like DeFi or AI micropayments, relying solely on the base layer well, the math just doesn't work out.
And that leads us into Part 3, Enter Hydra, the L2 solution. So the crucial thing to remember here is that a state channel acts like a secure mini-ledger. It processes all that heavy traffic off-chain while still relying on Cardano for the ultimate settlement. It's kind of like opening a bar tab. Instead of swiping your credit card and, paying a network fee for every single drink you order all night long, you just open a tab. You order as much as you want off-chain, and then you settle the final netted amount with one single on-chain transaction at the end of the night.
And by transacting inside a Hydra head, users are unlocking sub-second finality and near-zero fees. But here's the kicker. They're doing it using the exact same smart contract logic they use on the main chain. This is that isomorphic property we hear about. The exact Plutus code you write for Cardano works perfectly inside Hydra. Plus, Hydra uses a unanimous consensus model. That means every single participant has to sign off to advance the state, which actually gives it a way stronger custody guarantee than a lot of those rollups out there that just rely on a single trusted sequencer.
And what's super fascinating here is that Hydra isn't just some theoretical white paper dream. It is already out there powering live workloads. We are talking about institutional DEXs like Delta DeFi clearing massive volume, Masumi software agents settling sub-second micropayments totally autonomously, and even the voting infrastructure for Intersect. Actually, scratch that, even live gaming like Hydra Doom is using it. It's live, and it's out there in the wild right now.
All right, moving on to Part 4, the V2 development plan.
So, what does this actual path to production readiness look like? Well, it's broken down into 4 very strict work streams. Step 1 is performance optimization. They're aiming to make snapshot signing up to 10 times faster, 10x. Step 2 is operational excellence, which means giving node operators the proper runbooks and logging tools they actually need. Step 3 is ecosystem support, through hackathons and dev relations. And finally, Step 4 focuses heavily on developer experience and long-term code maintenance.
When we look at the financial breakdown of that 5.1 million, the vast majority of the funding, 86% to be exact, is strictly dedicated to engineering and development resources. This is paying for the personnel required to actually write the code, optimize those on-chain contracts, and run the rigorous testing needed to ensure Hydra is globally competitive. The remaining slices of the pie cover ecosystem engagement, auditing, and basic infrastructure costs. So yeah, it's a very, very engineering-heavy budget proposal.
Which brings us to the community's reaction in Part 5, the community debate.
Because, as we all know, presenting the tech in a decentralized system is really only half the battle, right? The community has to actually weigh its value. And we are seeing some incredibly strong opposing viewpoints emerge here. One side is arguing that this is absolutely critical infrastructure that we need right this second, while the other side is firmly demanding more detailed milestones and commercial enterprise support up front. It's a genuine clash between the recognized urgent need to scale and the demand for strict financial oversight. The proponents, the yes camp, are quick to point out that failing to fund this specific Layer 2 could result in builders and, more importantly, liquidity permanently migrating over to competing chains. They argue that Layer 2s don't steal volume from Layer 1. They actually expand the pie. Think about it. If you want high-frequency trading or point-of-sale retail payments, it absolutely has to live on an L2. If Cardano doesn't fund a top-tier L2, those developers simply won't build here. They'll just go somewhere else.
Conversely, the critics, the no camp, argue that such a massive treasury withdrawal simply shouldn't pass without a strictly defined, fully transparent roadmap presented way before the vote even concludes. Look, they acknowledge the tech is great, but they rightly point out that 5.1 million ADA is a huge chunk of the treasury. They want to see the exact acceptance criteria, the specific payout gates, and a much clearer path to Hydra becoming a self-sustaining commercialized product rather than something that perpetually relies on treasury funds. And they want those guarantees baked right into the vote, not drafted up in some legal contracts after the funds are already approved.
And that takes us to our final section, Part 6, the final vote.
The window for deliberation on this is closing fast, guys. The absolute final deadline for DReps to cast their votes is landing in Epoch 642, that is July 8th, 2026. So this gives the community a very strictly defined period to weigh the technical necessity of getting Hydra V2 out the door against the financial responsibility of managing our treasury. Ultimately, the responsibility of deciding if this Hydra V2 roadmap is worth 5.1 million ADA rests entirely with you, the community. So you have to ask yourself, do the undeniable benefits of sub-second finality justify this massive treasury ask right now? Or does the governance system absolutely need those ironclad commercial assurances before releasing a single ADA? The future of Cardano's Layer 2 is literally on the ballot. So how will you vote?